So I could see pushback from people in the plant-based world saying, okay, fair enough, there's these plant toxins, but who's to say they're not putting good stress on the body? And you've touched on it a little bit, but can you elaborate on that more and how you think about that?
Sure. Well, when I first started talking about this, the pushback was no, the plants don't have chemicals in it. No, they don't. All that sort of stuff. And then they like Googled it and they're like, oh shit, okay, yeah, all right. So, this is just botany 101. It's biology 101. This is how plants defend themselves. All living things have a defense mechanism, and plants are no different. And so this is well documented and described. We have names and categorize these things going back literally thousands of years. We know about this stuff very, very in a robust manner. I mean, just because they don't teach it in a nutrition class, because the nutrition sciences have been corrupted since its outset by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, who are religiously anti-meat. They think it causes lustful feelings and therefore it's sinful because lust is a sin. I swear to God, this is the origins, and they started the entire field of dietetics and at the university level. And so they've been involved in nutritional research from the get-go, and they've been pushing plants from the get-go. So at first, when I was talking about this, 5-6 years ago, people were just like incensed. They're like, no, plants are wonderful. We're in the Garden of Eden. Everything's perfect. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you just go to a park and just collect a bunch of leaves then? Why do you go to a grocery store? Why are you paying for just shrubbery? Why don't you just eat your yard waste and your lawn clippings? Just plant. We're just meant to eat plants, and just any plants, and they're all good for you. Why don't you do that? Well, because they'll make you very sick and you can't get nutrients from them. And so eventually they sort of came, maybe just like this year, I saw people then say, oh, well, actually it's, yes, of course there are these things, and they've been denying them ever, for years before that. Now, yeah, yes, there is these defense chemicals, but you get this hormetic response and they're good for you. It's like, hold on a second. Which ones are hormetic and at what level, right? Because what hormesis is you're having something that's harmful to you, but in this little subset, this microdose, it may actually give a benefit. But then past that, it's giving harm. Okay, so you actually do need dose is important. And just like in medicine, you don't just take a random amount of Tylenol. You don't just take a random amount of digoxin, right? You'll kill yourself, right? And so, you have that therapeutic window, you have that hormetic window, but less than that, you're not getting any good out of it. More than that, you're causing harm. Okay, so dose really matters. Okay, so what's the dose? Which chemical is hormetic? What's its benefit? What's its hormetic window? How do you know you're getting enough or too much? This is why we give pills to people instead of giving a tincture of leaves, right? The naturopaths think that, well, yes, tincture of leaves is a very good idea. But the argument against that is like, well, say if you have heart failure, I would give you something that would help the contractility of your heart, like digoxin. There are a lot of people on digoxin for this reason. This is measured in micrograms. So you're giving, 50, 100 micrograms, 50 millionths of a gram to someone, and that hits that therapeutic window. But they would say, okay, well, I'll give you foxglove, and that'll do the same thing, because that's where we derive digoxin digitalis from, right? And this is the plant's way of not trying to help people with heart disease. They were making these chemicals millions of years before we came around, millions and millions of years before we had heart failure, and they're going to be around millions of years after we're gone. And so this was to stop the heart and cause a fatal arrhythmia in animals and insects trying to eat it. That's what that's there for. But in micro doses, it increases the contractility of your heart and helps in heart failure. And a little bit more than that, 50 micrograms too much, it can stop your heart and kill you, right? So you need to know what that dose is. And so just giving somebody 4 ounces of leaves, well, what were the conditions? What were the soil conditions? When was it picked? When was it dried? Did it need to be dried? Should it have been fresh? Did it need to be older? Did it need to be young? All these sorts of things matter. And then also, you're not just getting that chemical, you're getting the thousands of other chemicals that go along with it. So that's another thing about hormesis. Which chemicals are we talking about? What is the dose that's hormetic? And what about all the hundreds of other chemicals that are potentially damaging in that plant as well? Because you're getting one thing, okay, caffeine, okay, I get that effect. Well, what about the 150,000 other chemicals that are in coffee and tea? What do those do for you? And in what dose is it bad for you? And so you have to describe that. If you're going to make that claim that there's a hormetic benefit from eating something that's known and cataloged as a toxin, and we have the clear effects, biological, biochemical, that have been well classified, and you're saying, no, but that's actually good for you. Okay, well then you have to show which chemical is good for you and at what level and at what dose, or else you're being you're just being completely inappropriate and reckless with people's health. The other thing is that, is this really a hormetic stress response? Exercise, cold plunges, that gives a physiological response that can benefit you in certain ways. But you get too cold, you can die. Exercise, you can exercise too much, you can hurt yourself. But the point of hormetic stress is you stress yourself, and then you give your body a chance to heal and adapt and repair, right? So you work out hard, and you sort of break down some muscles, and then it rebuilds stronger. But if you keep chronically breaking yourself down, then you actually don't give your body a chance to regenerate. You will actually cause harm. So, but with these chemicals, what's the hormetic benefit? You could argue that alcohol has a hormetic benefit, or cocaine has a hormetic benefit, because your body builds up a resistance to the alcohol and to the cocaine. So is that a hormetic benefit, or is that tolerance, right? You're just building up tolerance to this poison. Now, there have been different sorts of lords and diplomats and politicians historically, going back hundreds of years, actually thousands of years. There was a guy in ancient Greece, I can't recall his name, but he was so paranoid of being poisoned in his food and things like that he was taking microdoses of hemlock and other sorts of very commonly used poisons at the time, to just build up an immunity, build up a tolerance, right? And so you just slowly do this, and you slowly build up a tolerance, and so is that going to give them a benefit overall, though? Like you drink alcohol all the time, you get your tolerance up. Oh, that's better because I have a tolerance to alcohol. That makes me stronger. Well, no, it makes you an alcoholic, probably with cirrhosis, diabetes, and liver cancer. So it will damage your body. Maybe you're getting this little bit of benefit in the context of drinking more alcohol, but overall, are you getting an overall hormetic benefit to your body? This gentleman, back in ancient Greece, he actually did build up this tolerance to such an extent that it actually backfired, because I think his kingdom got taken over, and he was sort of hidden away somewhere, and he was just like, okay, I need to off myself because I'm going to be just tortured and really, really hard done by if they catch me. And so he drank like a whole bunch of hemlock. He couldn't kill himself with this poison, because he built up such a tolerance to it that he actually couldn't take himself out by poisoning himself. So he ended up getting captured. But that is likely one of the only benefits of this, is you build up a tolerance towards it. And I would argue that tolerance towards alcohol doesn't actually give you an overarching benefit, unless you're just going to a lot of drinking contests and that's how you make your money. But it's not good for your health overall. And so but again, they're not describing any specific results. They're not saying, well, actually oxalates in this dose confer a benefit. Okay, and then after that, what do they do? Right? Or tannins, or various lectins and things like that. In a certain dose, maybe, arsenic in microdoses in some studies has shown some sort of benefit, right? But anything more than that is going to kill you, right? So it's important to know the dose and the response and things like that. And just saying that, well, I bet you it's hormetic, is very irresponsible, and it's playing very fast and loose with other people's health. And that's not okay to do. If you want to do that for yourself, that's your business. But if you start making recommendations to people saying that, oh, well, you know what, it's probably hormetic, probably gives you a benefit, you better damn well know what you're talking about, because people can go out there and hurt themselves, and they are.
If you enjoyed that clip, press here for the full episode. I'll see you over there.
No animal eats the variety of plants that we do. And I think that that's causing and driving most of the modern non-communicable chronic diseases that we face these days. It is the complete elimination diet, because it gets rid of